Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Seek Therapy Podcast. It's me, Jasmine.
And America.
And Jasmine Thai.
And welcome back to another episode. So, I just want to share a little disclaimer. I know there was not an episode this week. We have some technical difficulties, and we would rather just have it come correct than to just put out stuff just for the sake of putting out stuff. So, here we are, and we appreciate you for understanding. So, how has this week been for everyone? What's been our highlight? What's been our challenge? Woo! It's been a challenge.
Girl, we listening. What's going on?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, it's just like my period started. And for some people, it doesn't make a big difference in how they experience life. But for me, it does. The cramps are real. The attitude is real. The patience is minimal. It's just a lot. And so, these work challenges have continued. And yeah, I came to a realization this week that it is literally my job that is just making me feel this way because we did not have school on Friday and I didn't feel an ounce of depression, anything. Chilling. And so I was like, this is giving like I should talk about this. So I'm going to be meeting with my new supervisor this week, and I'm gonna just let her know straight up. If the leadership doesn't change, like literally physically change, then I'm not gonna come back to this school next year. It doesn't make sense for me to be driving an hour and having a toxic ass job. Like it doesn't make sense. So I'm not gonna do that. So just kind of sitting with that because this is a fairly new job. I started in August, so it's like I gotta go all the way till the end of the school year. But my highlight will, let's see. Oh, I spent some time with my friend Ashley. Her birthday was yesterday, so I was able to spend time and I got my nails done, so that was nice. A little leopard print situation. So, yeah. How's y'all week been?
What's up, America?
Cricket.
Face.
Oh, that was my thinking face. Sorry. Let me see. So highlights this week. Maybe I should start with challenges too. I don't know. I guess challenges as you continue, and I tell my clients this all the time. As you continue to do your work, there are certain things that are going to stand out to you, and you're going to start to have certain realizations. And when you have them, they are heartbreaking. And so say, just paying more attention to relationships, family relationships, and noticing like, wait a second, this is a problem. This is an issue.
Right.
And understanding how those relationship dynamics impact you and affect how you show up and all of that good stuff. So that's been a challenge. The more self-aware you are, the harder things can be or can feel. And then
because you're not oblivious no more.
Especially when we're talking about like the parent dynamic. Like if you spent so long blaming one for not being shit, and then you realize like, wait a second, well, so I think that I know like that it feels heartbreaking and it's frustrating.
Right.
Navigating that this week. And then let me see. Highlights. Hell, shit. We still here. Amen. Through the challenges,
Amen.
things still showing up, child.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of that.
Yes. Before you go, Jasmine, I just remembered one that I really wanted to talk about. Is I have not been feeling good about my body. And I was looking at pictures and things like that. And I was like, ooh, it's not. And so that has been a challenge for me, because I had this whole idea like, okay, this year I'm going to be dedicated to getting back to my 2020 body. And it's not happening, people.
Yeah. Exact same boat. Mm-hmm.
It's not happening.
I concur.
And and it is hard, right? Because that is the best I've ever felt about myself. Like I was just talking to someone about this and I was like, oh, my therapist. And I was like, whenever I was that fit, I didn't try on clothes. I knew it was gonna fit. Like I knew I was gonna like it. I didn't now, bitch, I have to try that shit on
Mm-hmm.
because all sizes are
Yeah.
not created equally.
Yeah,
And
I know what you
so
mean.
it's difficult to honor myself, right? And say, like, yes, I haven't lost that weight and it's okay. Um, because I am someone that would just be able to lose weight so quick. Like, okay, give me 3 months and whoop, there it is. Okay. It ain't happening, folks. And so that has been like a challenge for me because, when you are feeling good, you just show up differently.
Mm.
And I have a question for y'all after your check-in because this really what triggered that thought process where I was like, fuck. How
Yeah.
your week been though?
I can relate to both of you, as always. This week it took a lot of self-awareness to kind of pick myself up and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what's going on. This is how I feel. Um, and start to give myself the grace for that. My cousin's birthday is coming up this month, and just all the feels with that. And the three of us have talked, in our group chat, and I've shared my feelings there. And uh, yeah, it's a mix of knowing what's coming, and I'm either going to continue to avoid it and let it pile up, or I can figure out a means to cope and really truly just live the life I want to live, and really the limited amount of time that we're given.
Mhm.
And I think also this week, seeing all like the little tidbits coming out of Takeoff's funeral, I relate to that situation so much. Like I know what that family is going through. Um, just to lose someone so young, so sudden for something petty, just young black guy and gun violence. Like I know that feeling. It's the one of the worst things to have in common with somebody. So I think that this week that's kind of judged up my feelings as well. Um,
Mhm.
my youngest cousin, or my younger cousin, he goes back to Hawaii tomorrow, and so today we're spending some quality time. We're all going to go see Black Panther together, which
Oh,
is something
nice.
that we had planned with Kobe. So it's kind of just it's bittersweet. But I went and saw the
Mhm.
movie Thursday night because I didn't know if I just I'm going in like a public setting, and so I just didn't want to be overly emotional or cry or like things
Mhm.
like that. So I went and saw it Thursday night just to kind of give that moment
Brace
to
yourself.
myself. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it wasn't that, but the movie having a central line of grief through the story, yeah, I just all the timing, right? I just all we
Mhm.
can say is God's timing. I find myself also saying God willing. I would say that while that's a challenge, at the same time, a highlight is that I know in my spirit, we've talked about this, that some of the best days of my life are ahead of me. And so having that faith, I'm going to say, is the highlight of my challenging week.
Yes. And I hope that you're able to just experience the movie with your family, be there, be present, and just be present. Really focus on being there in the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Yeah. So we had to do like a little activity at this meeting for my job, and we all had little hands, and they wanted us to write on the hands, like, when you are at your best, what are your top 5 characteristics?
Mm,
I'll share mine because mine is like right here. It was like disciplined slash focused, patient, supportive. I can't see all of them, but it was it was eye opening because I don't feel like I am those things right now. I feel like the patience, like I said, is at a minimal. The discipline slash focus is at like a, whew, it's not there. So now that I have these things, I have like a baseline of how I want to start showing up and getting back to myself. So that might be something that you all might find some value in and just reflecting as the year is kind of coming to a close.
I like that. I've also been thinking a
Yeah.
lot about when America shared how she has her next order lined up. That's a goals. Those are goals.
Ah!
But girl, I barely know what I'm doing next weekend.
Well, don't get it fucked up, me either, to be honest. Um, woo! Yeah, that's a little avoidance strategy that I use. It sounds good when we talk about it though. But touche. And Jasmine, just about your comment about pre-pandemic body and feeling good about yourself, I think that's something that most people can relate to. I think that
Mhm.
really impacted everybody. Some people got more fit during the pandemic because they had more time on their hands. And then some people's, body shifted and they gained weight or their body recomposition went to shit because they were no longer lifting heavy and all they could do was walk, right? So like there's just different things that I think the pandemic has in some ways positively impacted folks' body, but then in some ways it can feel negative. And
Mhm.
I think that that's the hardest thing when you are someone who is used to losing 20, 30 pounds in a month and then
Mhm.
being able to do that to like, bitch, you sure you're working out? Everything
Right.
okay? What is happening? Um, so I get
Yeah.
that, and I think that that's when we just have to have a really honest conversation with ourselves because like yeah, my shit was banging and my waist was snatched 2018, 2019, but my relationship with food was trash and I wouldn't eat for days at a time and I was over
Mhm.
and I was doing all
Mhm.
things in order to drop that weight. And so
Right.
you also got to be like, okay, what's different then versus now? And
Mhm.
Yeah.
it can feel like, oh, I'm not doing shit or oh, I'm not, you said discipline and focus, but maybe you are and it just looks different now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
But it sucks.
it was also during the pandemic and I was working from home, so I could just like cook everything and just, be on top of everything.
Hmm.
And now that is not the reality. So, yeah. But I'm working on it. I was talking to my sister-in-law about cutting. I was like, because I feel like I've been doing some sort of bulking for the last couple of months. So I'm ready to cut it up. So she was just giving me some tips and just like, and she was very like reiterating, if you want something, like have it. Like one meal is not going to change all your progress. It's when you have days of those meals that change up your progress. And I was like, touche, because that's what's been happening.
I was like,
so
that's
I'm
me.
so I'm excited because I am like a very routine regimented person. So I'm gonna meal prep, I'm gonna have everything in order. And we just have this 1 week of work and then I have a week off of work. And I made the executive decision. This is also a highlight to not have any clients during that week. I'm not going to work at all, period. And so I was like, I need to do what I
Period.
tell them and take that time for myself. And so I am going to take that time and just rest, do whatever I need to do, spend time with my kids, spend time with my family, and just be.
Yeah. Amen.
That kid.
I do
Hmm?
like a whole,
Yeah.
yes, like a whole one that I'm in charge of.
You said
A
kids
whole
up.
human being.
That's plural.
Oh, no, immediately, not yet.
Oh, that's
No,
how I look like. Wait a second. You said kids.
no, no,
I can relate to
no.
y'all in the sense that my body changed because I went into statistically, right? A lot of women put on weight after experiencing some sort of sexual trauma. It's a defense mechanism of like camouflaging yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's my whole thing. And then by the time I start psyching myself to like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. 2020 hit, and that's technically another trauma. Like
Yeah,
2020 was
Oh, it
traumatic,
is.
as fuck.
all of us. Um, the table was shooketh. So
Mm-hmm.
if you thought you had a handle on things, just understand that like it's okay not to, because even still today, things are. I mean, we still in a
Crazy.
pandemic.
Right.
Correct this, not in a pandemic. So yeah, just give yourself grace. Um, yeah, and like your body created an entire human being. That is not
Yeah.
an easy feat. So
Right.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
but we're all in the
Thank
same
you.
boat. My relationship with food, yeah, I can relate to all of that.
And one day we're gonna have to talk about that because it's been a lifelong thing, honey. But I love to put people onto new things that I'm watching, working out to, listening to,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. And so let's get into new. So this week, my new is tracking your macros, but like not getting obsessed about it. I'm like,
Okay.
that's all I have to say. Um, my my sister-in-law was telling me that I have to track my macros, and so I'm gonna be actually starting. I did that when I was like super fit during the pandemic. Like I was doing that. I was on that. That was something I did. And so now sometimes we have to take breaks from things and revisit it. And so that is my new. Actually, that'll be the new. Revisiting things that maybe you stopped doing because maybe you still like it and can benefit from it.
I like
Anybody
that.
else got a new? Yes.
Honestly,
I'm just
my new
holding on, child. Holding on.
my new is the one that I guess I'll just re-say what I said last week, which was watch from scratch because it's good. Um, Even though Miss Mama don't think she black, and I know we had this conversation, but um,
Right.
watch the movie anyway, child. It's good. If you need to cry,
It
don't
will make you.
do is unserious, or has a dark humor because baby, they're gonna talk you out your feelings. But it's phenomenal. So
Mhm.
give it a shot.
I actually watched it with the intention of crying because you said that on the pod, and I was like, I feel like I just need to release. It's been a hard couple of months. So I did watch it and I did cry and it was beautiful. So
Good.
I would I would recommend also.
You love to hear it.
Mm.
Do you have a new Jasmine?
Yeah, I don't
No
really have.
new.
No, it just Jesus woke me up this morning. Amen. Um,
Monday did.
yeah, not really. But like our listeners, I will join in on watching from scratch. I'm gonna actually have it downloaded to watch on either the long flight or during our trip. Because I feel like I'll be crying anyway, might as well, child. And like Jasmine, yeah, I'm just starting up the things that make you feel good. And maybe because
Right.
you get into a dark place or off your kilt a little bit, you stop doing those things.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'll try to work on that.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. So I just wanted to talk about dick.
Oh,
I
it
was
was
wondering how the
due for
segue
me
was gonna go,
today.
you guys. I was wondering how the segue
Listen,
was gonna
wrong.
happen.
And you can say you just want it. Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
I didn't know
Put
how
it in
else
your
to just
life.
bring it up.
I mean, that was
I'm
a
like, shock value. So we did a whole little situation last week, and lots of situations came up. And so we thought,
We thought,
so
let's
we
keep it on the cutting room floor.
let's keep that one in the archive. So we are gonna run it back. Like a couple y'all be doing these niggas, running it back.
Ooh. Ooh, someone just swerved the car on that one.
Are they
So
it's one of
right. Just me. We've been there. So let's talk about sex, baby.
Mm.
I think last time we talked a little bit about
Mhm.
mistaking sex for intimacy. And
Mhm.
so reaching out to people when you are wanting that physical intimacy, like you want to be held or, wanted. And so you reach out to people knowing that they gonna want to hit, right? But because you are wanting that intimacy, you put yourself out there for that. I've been there.
Same.
College, America said, can't relate.
I just look. I'm listening.
Sorry about it. Oh, okay, we're all taking a sip on that one.
We are taking a sip on that because, yeah, why were we doing that? Because we thought that that was getting the need met, right? And so
Mhm.
a little bit of something is better than nothing kind of thinking. At
Mm.
least that's what I can recall, because that's me. years.
I think women, men too, tend to not really know what they need. And so they know they have this urge, this desire for connection. They don't necessarily know that, like, oh, I don't really want to have sex. I want to sit and cuddle and talk about my feelings, or I want to sit
Mm-hmm.
and hold hands. They just know that they're interested in some sort of connection. And it's usually easier to get that connection from people if you having sex. And I think sometimes
Right.
we want intimacy, we confuse that, or we believe the only way we can get that is through sex. So you're gonna hit whoever up at 2 a.m.,
Right.
double back and circle the block and all, spin the block and all the things. You're wanting that attention, but you're not really sure how to communicate that that's what you want. Or you're afraid that if you do, they're gonna be like, "Bitch, I'm not about to
Nah.
5 minutes to hold
Right.
your hand." Like, what's that?
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's where that comes from.
Oh, dang. You just jogged a whole memory. So that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head because my first thought goes to attention, right? The need or the want
Mhm.
for attention and getting that misconstrued with other feelings. Are you horny or are you just attention deprived? And then
Right.
we're quick to label that as thirsty, and there are negative implications with being thirsty.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need that thirst quenched. So yeah, but I think at the root of it, it all comes to down to attention and what you are willing to do to get that attention.
meeting
Definitely.
no need.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
I'm sorry. Meeting the emotional need, because really that's what intimacy is. Intimacy,
Mhm.
emotional connection. And
Right.
so that's what we're looking for often, but we get the physical instead.
Mm.
I'm just curious, how did you all learn about sex growing up?
I got a book. My mother was pregnant with my sister when I was 9. I asked questions at the doctor's appointment. She went to the library, got me a bunch of books, handed them to me. Here, girl. So shit, I read them, and that's how I really learned about sex. I think by 9, though, I probably had seen like Talk Sex with Sue, um, and like had had some of those like basic conversations. Even though, baby, Talk Sex with Sue, Sue is the fucking goat, and that wasn't basic conversation, but um, had already seen that kind of stuff, and then learned that, like, I learned the mechanics of sex. So I learned like penis and vagina and all of that good stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but I didn't really understand or learn anything about the pleasure of sex. And like it is something that you do for pleasure, not just for procreation. I didn't learn that.
Right. And I mean, obviously that's because you're not supposed to be doing it.
Hmm.
Mhm. Unless you're trying to have a baby.
Yep.
Right. And so with learning in that way can make it feel like, okay, if you're not getting your needs met sexually, that it's supposed to be that way, right? Because it's not necessarily for you to enjoy yourself. And so it can be hard to feel like you should be enjoying yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Especially when
The
there's shame around sex too.
yes.
Certainly, many of us like have probably had to unlearn some shame around sex, especially as women. So like having sex at a certain age, having sex unmarried, um,
Mhm.
it means what that looks like. So I think that's also a really huge layer too. Is
That
okay,
is.
enjoy this. Ooh, that's really bad because I'm not supposed to
Mhm.
anyway. So like I don't,
Right.
and I'm a woman, so my needs are important, and it just kind of spirals.
Right. And that's a big one because as someone who did lose their virginity pretty young, like it was a huge thing once my parents found out. A huge thing, like just the worst thing ever. And in all reality, like kids be having sex. Like I don't understand, you know? And so maybe had it been presented in a way that was non-judgmental and just like accepting and pro sex, but of course being safe, like maybe that would have led for me to have a safer space to even say like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this," instead of making that decision on my own. But we all know that
Yeah.
our parents are doing what they think is the best in that moment. So,
I had a safe space to have those conversations. Well, my mother was very much like, before you do something, talk to me about it. But there was still like this underlying feeling of like, if you do it, I'm gonna be disappointed. And so
right.
I really
Yeah.
took it to heart for a long time of like, yeah, I can talk to you about it, but you're gonna be mad. And like that's not my goal here. My goal here isn't.
Right.
And then eventually I was like, somebody finna listen to me talk. So I just got real ridiculous and real out of pocket and just start talking about the thoughts and feelings I was having. And she looked like a deer in headlights and she was not a happy camper, but I kept talking. And
Like,
she,
what were you saying?
Mm.
I just thought
Yeah.
we had sex. And she was like, no,
You
you
s
don't. You just want to have sex because the people at school are having sex. And I said, how are you going to tell me what I want to do? I feel it in my body. And she was like, no, you don't.
how you gonna tell me what I feel?
I've been reading
Please.
and collecting people for as long as I can remember. So I was like, well, the definition of arousal, and I'm like going all in. I was like, that's gotta be what's happening. Like I was, and she is like,
What
and
would you expect?
Oh my
I,
goodness.
and you could tell fuming, and I just kept going. And I think, and I want, and she was just like, I remember she at one point she was like, America, stop. I said, well, you said it was a safe space and to come to you.
Too much.
Oh my
And
god,
I
I'm so scared for myself.
This is what happens when
three
you
hours.
hand an intelligent child an intelligent book.
Don't do it. It's gonna get you every single time. So I
Oh
know
man.
for in December, and I know to this day she hates the fact that she told me that, and I do not care. I still tell her all of the details now at 33 years old. I don't care. You're going to listen to me talk about this, since to you it was something you wanted me to come. Okay, and I'm still gonna talk about it. So what we doing? And
So what is she like now?
I think uncomfortable, but now she'll tell me, oh, my daughter tells me everything. And I'll be like, you ain't want me to. I just do it because I wanted you to know. And I think at that point, I was testing that boundary. Like, you said you want to know, but do you really want to know? Let's see. So, and I kept doing it, kept doing it. And then I was teaching her stuff, oddly enough. Like I was like, oh, I was in class today and we were talking about sexual partners. And you know that when you're with a person that everybody that they've been with, you've been with them too. And like I like drew her a diagram and shit, and she was like, go sit down. And I said, are you telling me to sit down because you're upset?
Oh, America.
Oh, I did. Refrigerator. It was like this whole thing. Like we're gonna talk about this in here. It is me and you, and now my little sister, and we're gonna talk about these things. So let's talk about them.
Look at
So that,
you.
and I think that's why I've always been
Yeah.
pretty open to talk about sex, even if I
Mhm.
didn't understand the pleasure point of it until like 20 something. I still have always been open to talk about. I went to Carolina and that's what I did. Like I was in charge of the Student Global AIDS campaign. I did events like "Don't be silly, wrap your willy." I was the condom girl. People would literally come to me for condoms. I had a basket outside the door. I had them stapled on, like not stapled, taped on the door. Like that's just been my thing.
And I love to hear and
Oh
see it.
man.
So yeah,
That yeah. Hand a child a book and watch what it does.
watch what happens, honey. If that book would have been talking about pleasure, it would have really been over for motherfuckers. But since it
Girl.
That's
all
great.
right.
Damn, I know your mama's
Yeah.
like, damn, damn,
See, mine
damn.
was a mixed bag. Yeah. That that I can get behind. You know what I mean? Because you have the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. See, my mom started with me young too. I would say around like 9 or 10 or so. The age where you're kind of like what's happening? But she started with STDs. No.
Mm,
She said ended with STDs. So by the
mm,
time like the talk was really like fully done, because I think she did it as I just got more curious or more aware maybe of the world. No, because I wasn't really exposed. Still, um, and it ended with STDs, and that ended probably about like by the time I was starting puberty. So a few years go by, I'm like 14, 15, or 15, 16, kids are starting to do it and stuff. I know I was the last one in my friend group to like lose their virginity. Um, and my dad approached her with me being in his house that like he fear mongered it. Like, you know, his big thing was if you have sex, you'll get pregnant and uh you'll end up working at Walmart for the rest of your life. And it's like, oh, like, like, well, first off,
You know the fuck way.
I think I got that.
Because
That's why I leaned.
first off,
because the
That.
people that the people at Walmart do not deserve to be catching
first
me
off, everyone
straight.
that works at Walmart, right? Like, they're a part of their community. Okay. You know what I mean? Because your ass be at Walmart, and if it wasn't for them, so yeah, so that was like a big thing. And then when I got to college, my freshman year, I mean, I was the military kid that was finally out from under her father's thumb.
Oh
Like, I
Lord.
was just living my life. And there was a moment where during my entire like undergraduate time, there was a time in which my dad slut shamed me and my mom did as well.
Mm.
Oh.
So
How
was
they even know
I
what you was
being a
up to?
slut? Well, my dad did not. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, but because I got a tattoo, he went on this rampage of like disappointment and anger because I have three parents, right? My mom, my dad, and then my bonus mom being my stepmom, dad's first wife. And so
Mhm.
I told my mom and my stepmom about my tattoo, and my dad didn't know. And so I guess like he obviously his ego, his feelings were hurt, look back on it. And him being the controlling active duty military father he was, just decided to like say all these mean and harsh things to me in an effort, I guess, to like once again control me through fear, right? Um,
Mm.
and there were things that were outlandish. But because I got a tattoo and kept it from him, then the basis of his argument was like, well, you must be doing and keeping all these other crazy things from me. And he was just saying wild stuff. And so, of course, it hurt my feelings because, like, none of it was true. I just got a tattoo. Like, calm down. But that was his form of what I would now call of slut shaming me, even though it was not true. And then a few years later, I remember having a conversation with my mom, who I do tell most things to. more so then, of course. And I guess the frustration looking back on it is that I was calling her and talking a lot about like my social life and what was going on that summer, where, you know, I was taking like one class for summer school, but really like drinking majority of the time. And someone else was paying my rent, you know what I mean? And
What
so
a
it was the time of my life. And so I just
funny.
looking back on that conversation, I can imagine us talking, and I'm steady talking about, you know, who's doing this and this guy, and you know, I mean, like what's going on in this small college town versus like this is what I learned today, or this is, you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
so I remember my mom was like, she asked me a question like, "How many guys have you been with this year?" And
Ooh.
gave her a number, which yeah, which of course, like was low, you know, not, you know, but then she was like, well, I'm going to multiply that by 3 and say that that's really what's going on. And I was like,
But was it?
By 3.
no. And that's the thing, right? But that's the saying, you know what I mean? Whatever she says, multiply by 3.
Right.
Well, my thing is once I latch on to somebody, then like, you know, it's not so much of latching on to many plural dicks. It's just once I latch on to
One
some dick
dick.
I like, and like I'm
It's just
latched on to
that
the one
good.
dick. Um, and so yeah, so I've never been one to, not never, but the whole like what's your count, your body count. I think that's foolish. If now as a grown woman, a man were to ask me that, I'm not I'm not gonna ask you. You know what I mean? Whatever brought you
Right.
to me in this moment. And if I'm fucking with you, I'm fucking with you. I'm not, I'm not. You know, don't
Right.
even worry about getting to that stage until we get there. So yeah, the whole body count thing, I think it's a double standard. I also think that whole whatever number she gives you multiplied by 3, that's ridiculous. So, but that's how my parents dealt with it and stuff. So through counseling, when I sought out therapy, I was able to like break those constructs and shame around sex. Um,
Mhm.
and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this. I know we've had like a couple of different topics, but for me, celibacy has been something that's been both rewarding spiritually, but also maybe a construct of walls that I put up. So, you know, and I know
Mm.
a few people can relate to that as well. But yeah, but that's where I found my myself settling after the experiences I've had.
Mhm.
You touched on like that double standard piece, and I wanted to just kind of touch on it too, because it's very crazy that y'all want someone who fucks like a porn star but have two bodies. Meanwhile, y'all have 30 plus. What? Make it make sense.
I
How
do.
come y'all can be out here?
Make it make sense.
How come y'all could be out here slinging that dick? She can't be throwing it back.
All of that is such a construct of the patriarchy.
Yep.
It is.
Mhm. It's the whole
Yeah.
purity culture. Women are supposed to be pure, and the if you're pure, then it means you're worthy of marriage and relationship and all of these other things. And if you're not, you're a whore and you're deserving of every bad thing that happens to you
Because you enjoy
because you
sex.
enjoy sex. And so sometimes you might be a hoe and not even enjoy sex. I'm sorry,
Right. You
sexually
Mm.
liberated. Even
liberated. Um, so then what do you call
right.
a hoe face since you don't want to say hoe?
Oh, so I don't have an issue with the word hoe. I think that other people might assume that I do, but no, I like the word hoe actually. But I know
Right.
that it has a lot of negative connotations, and I know that men use it as a way of shaming women when they do enjoy sex. So that's why I took away hoe and said sexually liberated. But
Mhm.
a hoe phase, your villain era. doing shit to feel good, minding your fucking business. That's
Period.
what I like to call it.
I definitely feel like
it's such a bad thing, and like, fuck that. Do what you want to do. As long as you protect yourself, I don't give a damn.
Safe, right? As long as you're safe. I feel like everyone should have one because before you get married, like you don't want to be out here feeling like, oh, I waited till marriage and this the only thing I know.
You haven't had a whole phase. Are you saying a person shouldn't get married?
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it would benefit you.
Are we saying that the whole phase is a part of finding yourself, learning yourself?
I mean, maybe learning yourself sexually, because if you kind of stick to the same person, then you may not know what else you may like. And so you think that this is all that it is. And someone turn you around and you're like, what? Me? Turn around. And that's just like the norm, you know?
Okay, wait a second. So then I need you to define whole phase.
Okay. Whole phase is when you are out here being sexually free and using your condoms.
Is there a certain number of people in a certain time span for this whole phase?
I don't think that there's like a certain number of people. I think it's just like having a variety and not like limiting yourself, you know? Because sometimes it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm gonna stick with these 5 people because these are the 5 people I done fuck. So if I get horny, I'm gonna hit up one of these 5, you know. But it's going outside of that and not feeling bad about it.
Well, I haven't had a phase, so that's why I'm asking.
I know you haven't. And I know that's why. And you already met your husband, so it's too late for you, sis.
I'm gonna text down and say, Jasmine said I have to have
Nope. No, that's not what I said. Let me give a disclaimer. If you have found the person you want to marry, oh well, too bad. No hope is for you.
Yeah, no. Okay. I will
next week's episode.
Right. I think that a whole phase, I think, can look different, or the sexually liberated phase can look different for everybody. Because I kind of think that you can have a rotation of 2 to 3 or 1 to 2 or whatever that looks like, and still explore sexually.
Yes.
And explore what you like or dislike or what you and don't want, even with those couple of people, because there's so many podcasts and so many shows that you can watch and learn more about sex. And then if you're hell, the internet is sex. So like there's so many different ways you can learn about different things you might want to explore, and then just pick one to explore with.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify that I'm not saying you have to be out here fucking everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that a whole phase one is when you getting it in and you don't care. In a good way, right? In an empowered way, like in a I'm doing this because I want to, because I deserve to type of way. Not like, anyway, I don't want to get too I'm not gonna get canceled.
I would describe the whole phase simply as when you are sexually active. When I think whole phase, I think having a rotation to some extent. Not that you're having sex with all of them, but you are being sexually active. You are outside of a relationship, and you have a rotation of people that you are intimate on some level with. One might lay the pipe. One might just be giving you head. One might be, just feeling some kind of, you were just actively in a rotation for this. That's how I would describe it. Yeah.
And you also
and I feel like that I'm of life. That too. So yeah, that's just what comes to my mind. I was recently talking to him, and he was a total nerd, but he was just saying that, he's like, oh well, I don't can't really recall a time where I was having sex outside of relationships, and I was like, oh well, can't
That's
relate.
unfortunate.
Like, I've I've had that phase, you know what I mean, of just dating around, and when I
Mhm.
like this person more and feel like we can go there together, then we do. Um, and then maybe 3 months from then that things don't pan out, then oh, okay, well, you're not the one. Move around. So
Right.
yeah, I think that there are seasons in life where that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
and I would hope that, our listeners can relate to there is a certain point where you start to grow out of your hoe phase, or at least become conscious of how your hoe phase maybe isn't benefiting you yourself, big
Anymore.
picture or long term.
Right.
And that just
Yeah.
comes with wisdom. Mhm.
Yeah. Absolutely. So have a hoe phase. Don't have a hoe phase, but explore what you want and need because if you are getting married to someone, you don't want to be bored. And that is the reality, you know. It's a long time, you know, make it make sense.
Life. It's a long time.
It is. I do just want to make sure that I am highlighting that it's important to be safe and making sure that you are being tested regularly and using some sort of protection, condoms. America's dog is showing me ass. Giving the
Falcons
mama
agreeing.
stare.
The minute I took it off mute too, like
Right. I did want to touch bases on how sex and your libido can be impacted by different mental health diagnoses.
can I say something real quick before you do that?
Yeah.
Protect yourself physically and emotionally.
Yes.
These niggas are
Yeah.
not going to protect your body. They don't give a fuck.
They
It
don't.
is
They
yours.
don't give a fuck about their body.
No.
Correct. No, they don't give a fuck about yours.
They don't
It
even
is
wash their asshole.
right. It is your responsibility to take care. Meaning making sure that you have condoms present, whether it's in a drawer, a purse, a book bag, a pocket. I don't give a fuck.
In
Wherever
your wallet,
in
in the
your
car.
in the car, well, maybe not in the car, depending on the
Oh
season.
yeah, that
But
season.
taking care of yourself because men will find any and every reason to have sex with you raw and not want to
Right.
get in a relationship and just smash another bitch that morning raw. So like you
Mm.
make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Is it a little cringy the first time you buy condoms as a single woman? Yes.
Yes.
Are you concerned that the people at Target
Yes.
are talking about you? Yes.
Yes.
Should you buy them anyway because they're not gonna help you take care of them
Yeah.
motherfucking or
Yes.
if you got an STD? Yes.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So do what you gotta do to
Yeah.
make
And the
sure
first
that you
time is
can
always
do.
cringy. Yes.
Yes.
First
Right.
time is always cringy, but after you cross that, it's like, it is what it is. I was slapping them hoes on the thing, like, ring me up. Nigga.
Period.
Still ain't open the box. But it's gonna happen. Also,
Right.
don't get, and I would hope, at a certain age we realize, don't get caught up in those gold MAGA wrappers either. All right.
Yes. Yes.
Um, let's be real.
Oh yes.
Everybody ain't able. And it's about you, your pleasure, and your safety. Do not fall into the trap of the ego monster that is the golden wrapper.
Right.
Also, keeping in mind that magnums, children magnums, actually not good for the pH of us anyway. And so getting gold wrappers just for the sake of having a gold wrapper and abusing your body in that way, it's not worth it. You done had sex, the next day you beat up and swollen. It hurts to pee, and you thinking it's because this nigga got a big dick. And honestly, no, it's just because the Trojan is whooping your ass. So be mindful if you have a latex allergy. Many of us have them and don't realize it. There's other alternatives that still work for men with big dicks.
And I think she said last week that it's called skin. So
It
it's
is SKYN.
so pull it one time.
Yeah.
Be safe. But I just
Also,
wanted to
one
talk.
last thing. Be sure-
Oh,
Ooh.
go ahead.
One last thing on this note is just be sure to check your expiration dates because
Oh
condoms do
yes,
expire.
yes. We had that on a sign during Red Ribbon Week at the school. Condom Fairy says check your expiration date. Those was gone though, honey. That's how I know that the kids is fucking because all the condoms was gone.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh Lord.
I come out the building and they are sucking faces. I'm like, there's children around. They're like, God damn.
They are
Oh
children. What you mean?
Exactly. I'm like,
my gosh. Right.
y'all are really wilding. Because in high school, I would never
Yeah.
be just making the
Oh,
fuck out
God.
right there. Right there. Y'all just don't give a fuck.
Mm-mm.
And that's why I'm like, use a condom.
Use a condom. Yeah, that's my advice to everything. Use a condom.
Literally.
Wild.
Because y'all is kids. Y'all
I'm
don't
glad I
need to
teach
be
middle
having
school.
kids. You say you're glad what?
I'm glad I teach middle school because they're
What do
more
that mean?
so in
What
the
do that
phase
mean?
of
What do
like,
that mean?
well, all right, all right. I'm just saying,
Girl,
okay,
they over
these
there.
kids for the most part.
Shit. Don't let them kids fool you.
You're right.
No,
They be throwing it.
I feel like well, I feel like my seventh graders are for the most part like they're starting to like each other, like maybe hold hands and sit together at lunch, but like.
And when they are leaving school, experimenting.
Eek. Yikes.
You're welcome.
Uh-oh.
tells
Oh,
tells of a school's it's like what the fuck am I called? Sociology. I'm just saying words.
oh my shit just knocked me
Psychiatric
off
is
filter.
good.
Oh Lord. Not the
As long as we
children.
don't lose nobody.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, girl. They're really out here. But I just wanted to talk about how your mental you know, how you're doing mentally impacts how you show up and if you are wanting to have sex or if you're not, because we know that, well, we know as therapists, but you may not know that if you are depressed, there is that ability to have a decreased libido, right? You're not wanting to have sex, that you can go a while without having sex because you're not there. And so that always makes me think of Sir. Um, he has a song called Mood, and he says, I ain't in the mood if I ain't in my bag. And he's talking about like money, like if he's not making money. And we know that, well, we would hope that if men were not making money, that they wouldn't be trying to fuck, but we know that that's not true.
You would hope that. Oh Lord.
We would hope, right? Because there are those hobosexuals that do be.
The homosexual. America's faces.
But right, but that's what came to mind to me. Is that I'm not in the mood if I'm not in my bag, and when I say in my bag, I mean like feeling good about myself in a good spot mentally, emotionally. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't in the mood. If I ain't in my bag, and so it's
Right.
important to keep that in mind, you know, and to have those open and honest conversations with your partner about how you are feeling so that they are not coming up with assumptions in their head and making things about themselves. You know, just saying, like, honestly, I'm depressed as fuck and I am not in a sexual mood. And I apologize for how difficult that may be for you. And I love you. However, this is where I'm at.
Mm.
But that
What
comes
about
with
for our
that
listeners out there
self-awareness
that,
piece.
yeah. What about people who aren't in a space to say, one, I love you, and two, well, I would just say if you're not in a space where you can have that comfortable conversation with your partner when you're in the mood or not in the mood, then it may be worth evaluating, is that a
Why you
healthy
in that?
connection?
Right, right.
Right.
Because if you are comfortable laying down with someone, then you should feel comfortable talking about where you are mentally.
And I will say though, the
Right.
majority of women are not. They are not. I gotta,
Yeah. I
I
agree.
gotta. They are not.
I know they not.
These are women who have otherwise seemingly healthy, whatever, healthy relationships and experience difficulty with explaining to their partner that they are having issues with overthinking, or that
Mhm.
it's dark at 4 o'clock, or that they need help around the house because the mental load has become too much for them, and they're not comfortable enough having those conversations with their partner that they need support and explaining what the support looks like. And oftentimes it's either I'm gonna start an argument with you so I don't have to have sex with you, or I'm
Yes.
really fucking cold, or or I'm gonna lay down and do it anyway, knowing that I
Right.
do, and then
Don't
make
want to.
back
Right.
doing it. So, but more often than not, women are not comfortable telling their partners really things about sex in general.
Right.
But then take it a step further when they're not in the mood or not feeling good about themselves. And
Right. Yeah. Very, very, very true. And it's unfortunate because being physical with someone is is so vulnerable, you know, and people don't really
Mhm.
see it as such. And so it's way easier to just like fuck than it is to be like, hey, this is how I feel, this is what I need, you know, or even just like voicing that you don't want to just be a hookup, you know,
mm-hmm. But it
and
may
then you're
Mhm.
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say then you're feeling down on yourself after y'all have sex because you're still not getting your needs met.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it makes sense
And you
because
didn't
many
advocate.
were taught that sex is about the mechanics. Like we were taught that sex is for a man's pleasure. If you're in a committed relationship or if you're married, you've been taught that that's your job as a woman, is to have sex with your man, because if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Somebody else will, right.
So I feel like society places, and then we reinforce this pressure on women,
Mhm.
how we're supposed to show up. So you mean
Right.
to me you're supposed to work 8+ hours a day, take care of the kids, come home, cook, clean, and we know that all of those are
Yeah.
multi-step process. Cook, clean, take the dog out, play with the kid, help the kid with the homework, finish up whatever the fuck you need to finish up with, work out, take a shower, check on your man and listen to him talk
Right.
and fuck.
God damn.
And he ain't did shit but go to work and come home. Looking the fuck.
Shout out, and
No.
I'm gonna take this opportunity to shout out my husband because that nigga is the realest nigga there ever was. Period. I let him know that I feel depressed and I can't do these things. I can't put shit up, like, and he will do it. I let him know like I don't feel good about myself, and he lets me know that he feels good about me. And so that's just like the realest nigga there is, and I just want to shout him out, period.
Let me check mine so I can make sure I send this to mine too. Okay, and shout out to mine who is also a real ass nigga, because
Period.
what I love is that it's very similar. Like, you come in this house, you already know I done had a week from hell. So you already know what I'm looking for. And I think that's the beautiful thing is like, I'm in need of that emotional connection. I need some of the things that I have to do, this long ass, never ending fucking list. I need
Right.
to take care of. And I don't have to tell you to do it. You walk in, you can see, like, oh, this shit needs to be done. All right, bet. And then you jump into doing it. And there's no pressure around what sex is supposed to look like or that it has to happen.
Right.
It's literally always like, I want to make sure that you're good.
Right.
And when you make sure that I'm
No.
good, eventually, once I get my shit back together, baby, you're gonna be good too. And I think
Okay.
the men that I see all women, most of them are partnered, and a lot of that conversation is always their spouse is like, oh well, I'm not gonna help you around the house because my needs aren't taken care of. And I think that
Mm,
for women of like, okay,
right.
I have to have sex with you in order for you to be able to
Right.
show up and support and help me. It even makes me think about that TikTok that went viral. What's her name? Ida Rose, where she was like, she's not gonna go more than a week without having sex with her man if she's depressed because it's her job to have sex with her man. And like after a week, like it's not fair for him to not have sex or some shit she said. Y'all didn't see that?
Mm.
I don't really be on TikTok. Like, so I get on there sometimes, but I don't be seeing a lot of shit.
I generally just try to block misogyny out of my life in general.
And
Uh, if it's
like
coming from men or women. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I just want to say everyone's shouting out their boo. I just want to say shout out to my future boo out there, holding it down wherever you
Okay.
are. And
Period.
when you're ready for this
Period.
blessing in your life, let me know. Okay.
Okay. So he could be
Real.
a real nigga.
And he better be
Trying to
a
help
real.
him
If
out.
not, we're gonna give him hell. So
No, he
Period.
wouldn't have any other choice but to be.
period.
Right. Period. Period. Period.
And
But
don't mistake real niggas in which are like the in sheep's clothing. Those guys. You know what I mean?
mm, hmm
You
the
know?
fuck boys.
Yeah. Fuck boys.
Yes. Straight up. Um, you have brought up a good point though. Oh, about the needs being met. And the partner. Oh, you found it.
I think that's the right one. Hold on.
When she says, I don't necessarily owe you my body. Yes, sex is needed in a relationship between a man and a woman. Men can say, you just said earlier, what if a man says, I don't want it? Well, I guess he doesn't want it. I can give you that grace. But when you go around here and you become possessive over what you think belongs to you, then I need to start picking out what I think belongs to me because my body is not yours. So yeah, I can give you sex because
That's not it. But I was talking about how the partner just won't do anything because they're not having sex.
Mm-hmm.
That is not right. The thing about it is that in relationships, everyone is not always going to be at 100%. And so when your person is at 50%, like it is your job to be able to pick up that slack and know that the whole sex thing um and that connection will only be fostered if that person's emotional needs are also being met. So you can't expect someone to just want to have sex just to have sex just because, oh, if I don't, some other man will. Like, I mean, whoever, some other person will. I can't be doing that because if I don't feel good about it, like it's not gonna be a good idea to do.
Yeah.
I just think
um,
in a
Yeah.
relationship and you are doing anything because you are fearful that that person will leave you for somebody else doing it, well, goddamn it, let them go.
Let them go. That's not the one
Mm.
for you. And pull up to our episode of like Elsa said, let that shit go.
Because you should never be in a relationship where you feel like you have to sacrifice your body so that for
Yeah.
another, especially, well, really, you don't need a reason, but especially when we're talking about you dealing with some sort of mental health concern, you're experiencing anxiety or depression,
Right,
you're whatever the case may be, like you should never feel like you have to compromise and give up your body. That's
right,
the
Yeah.
whole point in a relationship is a partnership. And so that other person should be able to pick up their 100%. They should be doing 100% anyway, but
right.
pick up their 100% and support you through those moments.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to kind of
I
talk
agree.
about some ways that people can navigate this whole sexual relationship, especially like in like a more single sense. So I guess for me, when I was single, was to make sure that I was clear about what I wanted, um, and not expecting something that I'm not verbalizing. So if I say that I don't want to have sex, like I shouldn't be getting a damn massage at 3 a.m. Like it's just not giving that, you know?
Yeah.
So making sure that you're
Yeah.
clear about what you want and need, and having that accountability piece to make sure that you are not just using that attention to, put you back into that place.
Mm.
Do you have any other tips of
I would
like navigating like a healthy sex life?
I would
Figure
say
out
as the resident single. Oh, sorry, America. You look focused. As the resident single on the pod, uh, take the time to forge that relationship with yourself, right? As the great RuPaul Charles says, words to live
Right.
by. If you can't love yourself, hell, you gonna love somebody else. Uh, learn yourself, what your needs are. Learn your body. Take that time without anyone else's influence on
Right.
decisions or choices or feelings. For me, taking time to heal from messy situations ultimately
Yeah.
led to celibacy, which ultimately it can go one of two ways, right? As human beings, uh, sex is on the bottom of our one of my favorite theories, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, sex is one of our physiological needs, along with sleep and food and water. But having a safe and knowledgeable sexual relationship with yourself does fill in that space at certain times. So
Yes.
just understand that
Yeah.
having a sense of belonging and a sense of intimacy doesn't always have to come from a partner. Uh,
Right.
finding that within yourself first would make those partnerships even stronger. Um, and that's something that I'm living by and walking by myself.
Yes. Period. And also get you a little vibrator. Masturbate before you hit up that person and see if you really want to even go down that road, because sometimes our
Yeah.
need for release can give us, where we're hitting up people we don't need to be. So
Yes. And I
bust that
have
nut
guy
and
friends.
run it back.
I was about to say, I have guy friends that'll say, like, oh man, that post nut clarity hits different. As women,
Yeah,
we have that too, right? That post orgasm climax will hit differently. Um,
right.
yeah. So I agree. I've been there many a times where you're on that cusp of like, what kind of attention do I want? And
Mhm.
yeah, just ladies, rub one out and then see how you feel. All right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
America's sick of me.
Never,
She's like, prepare to be sick of me.
never, never. Oh, it's my turn.
Yes.
I'm still trying to find this video, but um, advice to people.
Like how to navigate it and not like,
I mean,
come out of this fucked up.
be clear about what you want and what your needs are. Um, I believe that you can heal in a healthy relationship, and I also see the value of spending time with yourself, but not just aimlessly spending time with yourself, but really like doing some self-reflection about
Mhm.
needs are, how you've shown up, how you want that to look differently, what you
Right.
want to feel with the next person. So I think that's really important. And then also just learning how to communicate those things. I think
Yeah.
it's easy when you're by yourself to say like, oh, when I'm with somebody, I'm gonna say this and this, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And then you're in relationship with somebody, and it's like, oh, well, wait a second, maybe
Mhm.
and then you might find yourself like skating around or being really passive. And so just
Mhm.
make sure that the work that you're doing in that during your explorative phase is also transferable to when you want to have something more long term.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And using your voice. Like I said, use your voice even if it shakes, right? If you feel uncomfortable, if you don't like something, like literally say that. You don't have to be sitting there dealing with some shit that you don't like just because you're afraid to say something. If
And
you are being intimate with someone, like you have the right to say stuff. So please use your voice.
you have the right to change your mind.
You
You
do.
always have the right to change your mind. I was like, nope, don't say that. Your clients listen. Okay. You have the right to change your mind. So if you have something planned and somebody pull up, and once they get there, you know, like you the intention that y'all were
Mhm.
thing, and then they get there and you decide you don't fucking want to do it no more. You don't have to
Right.
with it.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
not giving.
say to them like, yeah, no, this don't work for me. For whatever
Mhm.
reason, it no longer works for you,
Yeah.
and that's you don't owe anybody shit,
Anything.
especially
Period.
access to your body.
Period. It don't matter if they spent
Or
$15 on
access
some
to
nasty ass
food
chicken
in
nuggets.
general.
Right.
Oh, right. Not the chicken nuggets.
Mm.
Not the
Yes.
chicken nuggets.
No. But just remember, y'all, that we are all sexually positive. Like, go out there, let your freak flag fly, honey, in a safe way. Um, and hopefully, y'all got something about this topic about sex because it's been taboo for too long, and we need to get to talking about this, right? And feeling comfortable saying what our needs are, feeling comfortable saying how we're feeling, right? And so hopefully y'all got something out of this and you can navigate your whole phase or whatever phase in a safe and effective way. And just remember that you can do Pilates, you can go for the 10-mile hikes, you can eat only kale salad. But if you're ignoring the things going on in your head and in your heart, then you're still not truly healthy. So go on ahead and seek therapy. Shit, we all need it. We will see y'all next week. Bye.
E
Bye, y'all.
Uh, uh, uh.